Charlie, we have things to talk about. People are already responding to our GETFund issue, right?
Yes. This one says it's for Kwaku Adams in Tema. Good morning, Joy SMS team. I applied for scholarship from GETFund at the time. I was working at TOR's Projects Department and was refused. They didn't even do me the honor of writing a generic refusal letter to me to date. Meanwhile, they were giving scholarship to people from some particular regions and sympathizers of the then party in power. Sometimes, if one is not careful, he will give up on Ghana after making huge sacrifices all these years. This one says, I had admission to study engineering mathematics at the University of Nottingham in 2016. A friend told me to apply.
Solid university.
Yes, a friend told me about GETFund and suggested I apply. I traveled to GETFund office from Kumasi, only to be told by the receptionist that they were not offering scholarships that year for the lack of funds. I returned to Kumasi to mind my business. 2 weeks later, another friend was awarded the GETFund scholarship to a university in Australia when they told me that there was no scholarship for that year. I went back to GETFund again. This time, I was able to enter the Secretariat through some tricks and tactics I employed. It took me more than 8 hours to just submit my application package. While I was there, ministers, MPs, NDC and MPP, and PEP, that's politically exposed persons, bring their awards. They will not queue. Some of them had lists claiming to be coming from various important offices in the country and indicated the names of the awards on those lists. They come and go within minutes, not hours. How I finally obtained the scholarship is a story for another time. This is Dr. Mubarak Ahmed. Now, there is another one, Kojo. It starts with Lumumba. But it says here, Professor P.L. Lumumba says, when you hear of a country named Democratic Republic of, it implies there is no democracy in that country. The same applies to these terms, especially in Africa. Independent is also, independent electoral commission implies not independent. Anti-Galamsey is also equal to pro-Galamsey. That scholarship meant for the needy and given on merit is for the rich politicians and the connected, and not granted based on merit. We know through being students at our schools that recipients of most cocoa scholarships, another problem, are not wards of cocoa farmers. The same applies to the other scholarships. The prestigious cocoa clinic is at Accra. How many cocoa farmers live near that area? This is Yao in Finland. Now, okay, yes.
You have a few more?
Oh, yes, if you want me to do, there's another long one that I have to deliver before I move on.
Okay.
Yes, this is actually from, let me do Iron Grace. We applied for a scholarship for my younger brother in 2019 before his fees will be paid. We've had to pay 30% as bribe. Even with that, the money stopped coming after 1 year. By the grace of God, he's graduating in December. So they applied for a scholarship in 2019. Before his fees will be paid,
he had to go and pay a bribe.
30% as bribe. Even with that, the money stopped coming after 1 year. By the grace of God, the gentleman is graduating in December. This is from I Am and Grace. Yeah.
Fentuo, thanks for not straying too far.
But the stories are
shocking.
They are. And listen, yesterday or 2 days ago when we posted about this, the responses we got from people, a lot of them were very disheartening. And I had, and some of the stories that came through, absolutely shocking. And for me, I think it's mostly to do with the fact that the scholarship system or scheme in this country is not entirely, the process is not entirely fair, according to many people. And those who feel like they deserve a scholarship or have a chance, at least some of them don't even get the opportunity to even apply, because even the avenue to apply is not
clear.
It's not clear. And there's no established timelines for application, so you don't even know. And that's the story. The one who sent the message is sharing. They said they were not awarding scholarships, and 2 weeks later he sees that another friend has been awarded a scholarship.
I
have a personal experience about somebody a co-tenant. I lived in the same house with him. He's in the UK now doing his masters. He applied. He got admission. He was looking for a scholarship to go, and he wasn't getting. He came to me and personally told me that he wanted me to help him get a scholarship. I said, look at me. I may be on TV, but I don't know enough powerful people to make phone calls. I asked him to apply. He said he had applied, and this was actually his second year. And that this time around, he has actually found an avenue to get the scholarship. I said, what's the avenue? He said he spoke to somebody who is a presidential staffer, who told him to bring 50,000 Ghana cedis for him to help him get a scholarship. So if the person has that amount of money, why would he come and ask for a scholarship?
Fentuo, we're going to get into this conversation. We're going to really break things down. Okay, and look, the one thing I want to clarify here is why this should matter to you. All right, let me explain to you why this GETFund Scholarship conversation is important to you. Whether or not you've ever applied for a GETFund Scholarship.
Not just GETFund. Scholarship Secretariat.
Scholarship Secretariat also comes in here. Yeah. All right, so let me break it down for you. Right now, there's something called inflation that has taken away almost half of the value of what you get paid when you work. When you sweat all month long and your pay packet comes, almost half of its value is wiped away by something called inflation. Then what is left? You have to gather more of it each time you are buying very simple basic things because your currency is weaker. The small money you have saved all your life, government says that they are going to dip their hands into it and give you something called a haircut so that they can keep running government. Now, what does it mean to run government? Well, it means spending on things that government thinks are important. One of those things that they are spending your money on, after giving you a haircut, after reducing the value of your salary, after making sure that your currency is worth almost nothing, so you have to gather more of your cedis to buy the basic things you need for your family and yourself to survive. After doing all of that and taxing you through the roof on top of all of it, they take that money and use it for things they think are important. One of them is to grant scholarships. Okay, what's a scholarship? A scholarship is when you pay someone's way to study. Right? The state does that sometimes. Now, they say they want to do this because there are some people whose study is strategically important to Ghana. Okay? Yeah. So, there are certain things that we don't really have schools to teach us how to do here. Maybe we want to train people in atomic energy, nuclear, whatever, so that they can help us to generate electricity on a more reliable basis. Yeah, the best schools for that are not in Ghana. So then we have these scholarship schemes which are supposed to pay for people who want to study these things so that they will come back and use their knowledge for our strategic benefit. Instead, government officials, MPs, ministers, even some journalists are being given this money to go and study things that are of no value to Ghana abroad at huge sums at a time, £25,000, $28,000, to go and do a conference at Harvard, to go and study a bachelor's degree in international relations and politics. How are these of strategic importance to Ghana? Meanwhile, you are paying for it. Even though you may have never applied for a scholarship, you are paying for people, ministers, to send their children to go and study things that are of no benefit to Ghana. That's what is happening. That's one of the reasons why people got annoyed and hit the streets for 3 days last week. When you are unable to pay your bills, because unfortunately we've mismanaged our economy, because government needs your money to run. This is what happens with the money they take from you. When you have to cut down because tax is too much, so you are cutting down on the things that make you and your family comfortable. This is what government is doing with your money. Do you understand why it affects you? Good. Fentuo, people have been responding to your tweets. They've been sharing all kinds of stories. Some of them, as you said, quite shocking. What seems to be the common denominator here? What is the fundamental problem with how the government of Ghana is pushing scholarship schemes?
I think, the underlining theme from everything I've screened, from all the responses I've seen from the past 2 days, is that number one, the scholarship scheme doesn't seem to be merit-based, in that most people don't feel like the ones that are being awarded the scholarships are the ones that actually deserve it. And for me, I think that is problematic. Scholarships have to be they have to be competitive, they have to be merit based, and they have to be scholarships awarded to people who actually need them. And I think one of the reasons people have issues, especially with the list that came out in 2020 with members of parliament or children or relatives or powerful people in office being included in the list, is the fact that it misses the entire point of being a leader. Because I think leadership is also about empathy. Leadership is also about realizing that you are in a privileged position. And even if you feel like you deserve, because you are also a tax-paying member of the society, a tax-paying member of Ghana, you should be able to step aside and say, you know what, as much as I feel like I also deserve this, I think that this would better serve this other person. And so if you're a member of parliament who is already being paid by people's taxes, and you are giving enough living allowances to be able to save money and afford your own children's school fees, I think it just defeats the entire purpose of your privilege if you go ahead and put a relative there, or go ahead and put somebody else there that could basically afford. And yesterday or 2 days ago, I read from the experiences of one person who basically had a massive issue also with transparency. And I think that is one of the other issues with the scholarships system. Transparency being that people don't even have clear guidelines on when to apply, how to apply, and how they are selected. There are other scholarship schemes available to students all around the world, and people get rejected all the time. I've never heard people come and complain about a certain scholarship scheme being biased or being not transparent. People have applied and be rejected at Chevening. People have applied and be rejected as Scholarship Secretariat being offered by the US. Others from even the schools themselves. And I've never seen anybody come to drag a university abroad or a university for refusing them a scholarship and claiming that the system or the process wasn't transparent. So that transparency is needed. There have to be clear guidelines on how one is awarded a scholarship, when you need to apply, when the deadline is, and who to submit it to, what documents are required. It's almost like now people wake up and they have no access to information. You have to walk to the Scholarship Secretariat and go and inquire from a receptionist. We've long gone past that. There are now several channels on which information can be disseminated. Why is it not possible for us to see publications in the newspapers all the time about scholarship schemes that are available to people, and people always have to physically walk to buildings and make inquiries about scholarships? All these things don't help, because for all you know, the person that desperately needs that scholarship probably doesn't even have enough money to take a car and come to Accra, or take a car and go to Kumasi, and that's why they need the scholarship. As much as I also agree that the scholarship scheme or the scholarship system has to be strategic, in that it's not only necessarily for brilliant but needy students, and the point you made about sponsoring people for courses that serve a strategic national interest, I agree with that perfectly, and I think that has to be maintained. But the largest scope of the scholarship system is to award it to people that are brilliant but needy, that are doing courses that will strategically serve the interests of this country, but also at the same time that they are being awarded to people that actually feel like they deserve it. And I think that for me, that's where people feel like the point is being missed, because we have seen the list, and that list was from that audit report was from the period between 2012 and 2018. So when we talk about it, this is not necessarily an MPP problem, neither is it an NDC problem. It is a systematic problem, and that has to be fixed, because by and large, I think for now, the Scholarship Secretariat or the scholarship scheme is not being used as an avenue probably to reward maybe party faithfuls. And it doesn't help, because, I have had experiences with people, even after the tweet that I sent out the last 2 days ago. I've had people come to me and say, have you received a scholarship from the Scholarship Secretariat before? I said, no. They said, well, I think your chances of getting a scholarship are gone now. Why should any
of this affect?
That's the point.
Anyone's
and
chance
that's
of getting a scholarship.
It's not merit based, so it doesn't matter that I may deserve it. Just the mere fact that it now will be awarded on the whims and caprices of an individual. If I offend them, I don't have a chance of winning a scholarship. It shouldn't be like that.
Because
the
you
scholarship
are
is
less Ghanaian than those
the
who
point.
actually have to get it. Or you are a third-class citizen who pays very little taxes, who is actually not relevant to the state, and we have to determine. So that's the signal you send to people in their own country.
Do you know
when
what
you
you
make
should
some
have
of these
told them?
claims?
You should have told this guy that he shouldn't worry. All it takes to get a scholarship is a bribe.
Basically, because the experiences people are sharing, that is another common
So you
thing.
shouldn't worry about anybody, being disqualified from this process. After all, people are bribing their way into it. Listen, Ray, the problem here is that the system, even as prescribed by law, is not working.
Yeah.
And when you ask them about it, they hide behind the law.
Yeah.
Okay? But there are people at home who haven't applied for scholarship who get scholarships.
At least that's what we're told in the DOM level report.
Yep.
We're told that some people, there's no reference to their application documents. And one of the things that was supposed to be a criteria is at least you show your first degree results and everything. Some people never presented anything like that and were equally given these scholarships. So then you ask yourself that big question: what then is the definite criteria? In fact, people forget that DOM level report compared it to other ones, so Australia and other countries that were implementing similar systems, and came to some conclusions on how to refine and improve the system, how to make it more merit-based, how to make people believe that it's a transparent system for delivering scholarships in the Republic of Ghana. Yeah. But let's not get this wrong. Anybody that hides behind these objectives, that the object of the fund is to provide financial assistance to enhance the delivery of education at all levels by the government, and that's the main object. Then say the funds shall be allocated as follows. A. Financial support shall be provided to agencies and institutions under the Ministry of Education, channeled through the ministry to facilitate development and maintenance of essential academic facilities and infrastructure in public education institutions. Have we done all of these? How many times haven't you heard the school say that we needed this facility, we needed that facility, but we are still not getting it? And let's even go to the history of this GETFund, the entirety of GETFund in the first place. GETFund was because Ghanaian students protested that they were being asked unfairly to make contributions to the payment of fees, and it became a big issue in the Republic of Ghana. So then government said, don't worry, in order to fix education and put it on the pedestal that we want, let's take taxes. And it's a tax that we pay to GETFund.
Yeah.
Everybody pays.
Yes, let's take taxes and put it in a fund so that we will fund education with it. So if you put our priorities in education, let's the top 10 ones. Are we saying that funding somebody's, let's say, international politics or so course elsewhere?
A minister's son.
A basic degree one, that's first degree. Something can be done at Legon. The political science department has Legon, and some of the finance brains you know in political science all over the world. Yeah. So how come that place is not good enough for them? And see, what we do is that when we give it to that gentleman, we are depriving a very useful person who would have been helping Ghana in an area that we don't have the training in Ghana to actually get the resource. This is why we should be concerned about it.
We paid £24,000.
Yeah, you convert it.
And I think and that is the point you're making. By and large, the ones that actually need it are not the ones that get it. Look at I got this message. It says, I'm privileged to have a set of triplets as my half siblings. These kids and their dad, this kid's dad is chronically ill he's been chronically ill for about 12 years. Our mom passed away 3 years ago from diabetes complications. Fast forward, I've been able to secure the admissions to UMB Fredericton. I sought for same scholarships for them, but was asked to pay $10,000 for each of them. In this country, Ghana, shaking my head. They are in school, and the Lord that got us here will see them through.
People are suffering.
People are suffering.
And the interventions that we have decided on together as a nation through our laws to implement to help those who are suffering are being squandered.
Yeah.
By those who, first of all, don't deserve it. Second of all, we are already paying them far more than anyone else so that they will not have to rely on us for those things. And third, the job that we are paying them for, they are failing at it. They are doing a poor job, which is the reason why people need scholarships. And then they are taking the scholarships for themselves. Well,
maybe this message, if one, yes, this one at Akwesi Francis, and one lady I know got scholarship to study MSc Human Resources at Coventry University. She failed the course and returned home with a postgraduate diploma instead of an MSc. She has, however, been awarded a job at GMPC. I mean, that is the message I sent from Kwesi Afrane. Yeah.
All right. Techi is on the line from Hachu. Techi, good morning. Do we have Techi on the line?
Hello, Kojo.
Hello. Yes, we can hear you, Techi. Good morning
Kojo,
to you.
your discussion is very nice, but I think you people should be a little bit measured, because I think you have to research more. Because let's say a course like international relations that you were saying is not in Ghana's interest, okay? You remember on your very show, this is very show, you were talking about Ghana's possibility of getting nuclear reactors and all that for energy, cheap energy, right? Do you remember that show?
Yes, Techi.
Kojo, do you know that on this whole planet, there's only one company that can give you that thing for cheap in this full way? That company is called Rosatom, and it's in Russia. Now, Kojo, imagine if you don't go and study international relations outside, let's say at University of Chicago, and then you don't hear from world-renowned researchers who have been researching on the Russia-Ukraine war since 2014 when it started. Okay, Kojo, what is going to happen is you are going to sit down and think that, oh, this war started in 2022 simply because BBC or CNN say so. And when that happens, Kojo, what is going to happen is, let's say we elect Nanado. Nanado is going to read from a speech from somebody. If that somebody does not know this thing at the UN Congress, he's going to write a speech basically making us Western puppets and bashing Russia and China instead of towing the non-aligned movement that we need. Okay? When this happens, Kojo, how are you going to be able to get this thing from Rosatom and other benefits from China in this new multipolar world? So it is very important. These causes are very important, and it has to be studied. And it shouldn't just be studied by a brilliant person, okay? Let's say you have a brilliant person, but the person is nowhere close to power. And the person goes to study this course. How will the person be able to advise the minister who will go and speak at, the UN Congress, to be able to tone down her criticisms of Russia and maintain our non-aligned movement so that we get benefits in this new multipolar world? The person will not know what's going on.
Okay, Techi, thank you. Thank you for sharing your views. Thanks for calling us. Let's hear from Ben. Ben is in Adenta. Hi, Ben. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo. How are you?
Very well, Ben. It's good to hear from you.
And good morning to Raymond Akwa and the team as well.
Yes.
I mean, you don't need to go abroad for international relations. You have so many universities here doing the same course. Even Atomic that it's been talking about. Today, as we speak, all courses are done in Ghana. We have even some of the schools are here in Ghana. So it's only criminality for somebody to send their children abroad. And they send those children abroad, the ministers, because they want them to go and taste a good life. I mean, international relations, Legon, they are teaching it there. You go to KUST, UCC, everywhere is being taught. So we don't need to waste our money. At Ghana Atomic Energy Agency, just go to Hacho, on the way to Domi, whatever. We use the back road, they are there. A very big institution. We can do all these courses. Let me tell you something about my own story. I have applied for GETFund Scholarship, GMPC as well. You're not even talking about GMPC. That is where a lot of rot happens. GMPC gives scholarships, and it is very strange. It is how they do it. I mean, it is never publicized. Even when the publicity comes, within 2 days they are closing. They'll give you a number, you call, nobody picks up. And let me tell you my story. So I have applied both for GMPC and GETFund scholarships. I never got those scholarships. I then have to work my way out to do my postgraduate program. When I was there, some of my colleagues were on those scholarships. So I asked them, how did they get it? Then they'll tell you their stories, and you get to see that, wow, Ghana is really rotten. You have to know somebody. The MPs in parliament, they are just, I don't even know the word to use for them. I don't even know the caliber of people who go to parliament, who are supposed to be making laws for us. They are the most corrupt. The MPs send list of people who are close to them, their family members, not even the constituents, relatives, to GMPC, to how do you call it, GETFund. And so let me tell you, so sometimes they will send a list of 500 people, then they'll give them 100. So let's say 275 MPs. Everybody gets 100. What will you get? This is happening. The ministers also, office of the president, they send list to the scholarship administrator or whoever they are called. We don't even know them. You go to GETFund, you can never even get to see any official. You would be there, and then people will just be bypassing you before you realize they are getting scholarships. I met a lady when I was going to GETFund back in the days, and she is even getting a scholarship, going to study abroad. We have local programs here. People who want to do local postgraduate programs are not getting the scholarship. So sometimes you wonder, what kind of country is this that nothing seems to be working? Even scholarships that people are supposed to get on merit, ministers have taken over. MPs who are supposed to be strategically positioned, both NDC MPs and MPP MPs who are supposed to help us, are also not helping us.
Ben, you've made such an important point. We thank you for calling us. Salem is in Jamestown. Hi, Salem. Good morning.
Hi, morning, sir. To start with, I want to thank the Food for Thought man, Uncle Lebo,
yeah,
for bringing out a very distinct issue. It's not only the politicians that have that problem. At the private institutions where a lot of people work, if you are very diligent and very distinct to your boss, all your other people, they target you and they always want to listen. Also, I want to thank God for giving us a Vomawo, right? Where other fields like Black Rasta, he is taking up the mantle, and we pray that the spirit of Julius Malema will enter him so that he can move ahead. Right, let's come to the issue of this GETFund issue. You see, people don't understand. You see, the lady who called into the program on Saturday News Farm was saying that Ghanaians are always talking about right, and then they don't talk about responsibilities and so forth. Who, the resources of Ghana, who does it go to? Is it not to the government? If the government uses the resources judiciously, everybody in this country will have the opportunity in order to be able to perform or carry up, take up the responsibility. But when half or maybe about 99% is going to people who have the opportunity to get close to government distance and they have access to resources are taking the things for themselves and their families. How does somebody from the down, a poor person's a child and so forth, where do they get the opportunity? Are you saying that international relations, we don't have it in Gimpa here, that people cannot do international relations and learn about what happens in Ukraine and so forth, where we have the internet every day, things are being put over there. Let's not put, how do we call it, mud in people's faces and claim that things have to be done a way that will not benefit the distance. Well, what is government for? Government is the rule of the people, by the people, for the people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Salem. All right, let's go to University of Ghana, where Kwame is standing by. Kwame, can you switch off your radio and just listen to us on the phone? Good morning.
Yeah, it's done. Good morning. Yeah, so I'm surprised that we are showing surprises at some of these happening. We've been living with this behavior attitude for a very long time. We have governments that are not working, things are not in the media. I think with the invention of the media space being liberated to, include opinions from the citizens, the media has also not done its work well. If you resource people, we have a lot of expertise in this country, but yet you keep always talking to some specific group of people. No, that's not how. You need to widen the space for everybody to express. Every day we are calling, when there are legal, especially legal issues, we are calling Well, let me come to this scholarship thing. This thing has been, I have applied for, scholarships, GETFund and all of that. When the administrator came, he was Mr. But now he's Dr. Buedu. This thing has been going on. And so I'm not surprised at some of these things.
Kwame, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let's go to Kasoa toll booth, where I'm sure there's traffic, but there's also Pius on the line. Pius, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Kujo.
My brother.
You are too much. Good job, bro.
God bless you, Pius.
I perfectly agree with you 100% for what you are saying, bro. Don't forget about all these guys who are calling and telling us that they need to travel abroad to go and do one courses and other. And with all these engineering courses they are going to abroad, are we the right position? We are being in traffic for about 1 hour here at Tobut. So all this engineering that we have in Ghana, and none of them can find solution to solve our problem at Tobut and at Salem. So what are we talking about?
Yeah.
So, bro, good job. So we are here at traffic at Tobut.
Wow.
And we are saying that they need to travel abroad for a course. If you don't go, you wouldn't know what is happening in the world. That is wrong totally.
That's difficult.
All right.
Pius, God bless you. And please stay safe out there. Let's go to Kuntun. Say, hi, Sam. Good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you doing?
Not bad, though. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm very happy for this very topic that you introduced this morning. This scholarship thing has become like an albatross around the neck of the government. Kojo, let me give you a revelation. Can you imagine that people are paying for this scholarship? They are paying bribes to get the scholarship. I can give you one. A friend had just gotten that scholarship. He has paid 80,000 Ghana cedis for it. 80,000 to somebody. This is the state in which we find ourselves in this country, where the poor cannot get access to these things, where the needy cannot get these things, but the rich will continue to get access to these things and travel abroad. You have to go and do a fundamental undergraduate, which is common in the University of Ghana, which is common in other universities in Ghana. Why would somebody take a scholarship to go and do international relations, which is common in the University of Ghana? Our politicians are killing us. Please, you people should talk. Who are the media people? Let your voice get them. Let them know that they are actually killing us. If I pay this, a friend just paid 80,000 Ghana cedis for scholarship to go abroad. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Wow. All right, let's go to Tema. Hello, Claude. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo. How are you doing?
No, God's grace, Claude. I hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, Kojo, my issue is about bringing politics into an issue that does not need to be treated in that way. You have to ask yourself, how many politically exposed persons have gained these scholarships over the years? You mentioned two people's names. I don't want to repeat names. But I'm sure you need to do an audit so that will be fair. That it isn't only at this time that this thing is happening. It's been happening. But then we
Claude,
need to find a solution.
Just to bring you up to date, Claude, we are referring to an Auditor General's report. He studied the issue from the year 2012 all the way to 2018. So you can see that straddles two administrations. So it's not about partisan politics, Claude. This thing has been happening for a very long time, and it continues to happen. Doesn't matter who is in power, they still get it wrong. You understand?
Okay, so that's okay.
All right.
But then that's what I was saying. Are these the only two people, or there are more in the auditor's report, which we have?
There were over 80 people identified who, according to the Auditor General, should not have been given scholarships.
Why do we leave out the 78?
I could mention their names, but you don't know them. Do you know them all? It's the ones you know that I'm telling you about, Claude. Anyway, let's go to North Legon and talk to Godwin. Hi, Godwin. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
Talk to me, my brother.
Kojo, you see, in life, Kojo, doing the right things in life, right, has very little to do with the knowledge of the right things. All right? Doing the right things in life has very little to do with the knowledge of the right things. Doing the right things in life is largely based on the consequences of not doing the right thing. Okay? So now, could you tell me, and I want Ghanaians to answer this, how in the world do we expect our politicians to do the right things, to live up to expectation, when the system we are practicing is such that they are the same people who self-regulate themselves? How? I just don't get it. Ghanaians today are educated. We are educated people. As to how we hold on to this system, this constitution, and expect it to deliver and expect it to live up to expectation, is totally delusional. I just don't get it. Okay? And then you find people in academia who will come and tell you we have enough laws. No, it is not a matter of you have enough laws. Okay? It's a matter of the structure of the law. Tell me, what's the essence of an enough law to fight prostitution if you hand over it to a pimp to oversee?
Godwin from North Legon. I think that is a very poignant question on which we can wrap our phone calls.
And ultimately, we spoke about the GETFund audit that came out. What were the consequences?
Yeah.
What happened? That's the question that Godwin is asking. And it's a really difficult question to answer. And every single day we are faced with circumstances like this. And when there are no consequences for people's incompetence or corruption or actions, the fact that they know they're wrong, it's not enough. And I think that ultimately that's the biggest issue in our society. Honestly, in my opinion, I think there are no consequences for actions. People think they can just do anything they want and get away with it. After all, we have been tempted to be a people with a short memory, and Ghanaians, we forget easily. We just talk, and then everybody moves on with their own life. It's the same way we adjust to difficult living conditions. It's like we just talk, and everybody goes back home. It's like nobody, and then the ones that are responsible for making the change don't do it, and then nothing happens. And this keeps happening, and it's a cyclical issue that's never going away. And for me, I think ultimately, if people do not see that there are massive consequences for their actions, the bad things will continue to happen, and we'll just keep talking about it, because we've been talking about this GETFund issue and this Scholarship Secretariat issue. Everybody cannot be lying. You've seen the comments, you've seen the experiences, you've had the phone calls. Everybody can be lying. So why is it not possible that these people are being investigated?
Yeah.
Now, why are they not reforms? Why are there not audits when the audit reports come out? And even the Auditor General's report on other state agencies, not just about the Scholarship Secretariat or GETFund.
Yeah.
What are the actions?
I get your point. There's a grouping that we give that report to consistently. That's the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. In fact, virtually every year, GETFund itself submits a report to that house. That MPs anyway, but how do you expect action from people who are beneficiaries, who are abusing the system, who are actually the ones who are corrupting that particular system in place? So it's almost like we are in a cyclical situation. The people we are put in place to check the problem are also equally.
It's a circus.
Their hands and neck and legs deep in the mess.
Look, let's be clear. You guys have identified the problem with our country perfectly. We have asked the wolves to guard the sheep. That's all it is. Okay, so first of all, we have problems. We've chosen people to help solve our problems. Then we insulate them from those problems. We give them everything they need so that they will never experience those problems. Then we tell them that you tell us whether you are doing a good job or not.
Yeah.
You decide for yourselves whether or not you are doing a good job. That's what we've done. So they will certainly come, fail catastrophically, and then call themselves successes. And Amebwa.